accepted the ban. It must be a little bit easier knowing you're going to be facing the Cats without him.
Oh, well, look, we're certainly not complaining about it. I mean, he's probably so far in form this year, top 10 player in the competition. So, but from a supporter, footy fan's perspective, I don't like to see the best players rubbed out of the game for innocuous incidents. And I'm sure Chris would say he didn't need to do it, but the issue of carryover points I think will come up at some stage at the end of the year when we review the tribunal, because I don't think anyone wants to see the best players in the game sitting out for incidents that they probably shouldn't be rubbed out for.
You've spoken about that before, the carryover points. Do you have a solution, or?
No, it's not my job to come up with a solution. I just think that it's got to be. By the same token, we don't want players doing silly things all the time either. But they play a pretty aggressive, confrontational, contact sport, and sometimes things happen that players should be warned about. And if they're repeat offenders, then I suppose that's what the carryover points is there for. But I just think that you look at the incident in isolation and think, well, you shouldn't get a week for that, in my view. But that's only my opinion.
Having played at Simonds Stadium for 3 years, and at least in a home and away game, Brad, is that a reasonable disadvantage?
No more so than any other club who goes down there and plays down there. I mean, Geelong's record's obviously very good down there, but we played a couple of pre-season games there. We played one under lights this year. We obviously trained down there a year and a half ago. We look forward to the challenge. I mean, we know it's going to be a huge challenge, but the ground certainly, they play that ground really well, but it doesn't. I think we trained there and played there pretty well as well.
This team's been so vocal about playing on Friday night footy, and this is such a big occasion up against a three-time premiership team. It's really time to sort of really make your mark, isn't it?
You reckon this week more than any other?
Well, I mean they're a premiership contender, and you guys have got aspirations to be top 4 and top 8.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've stated those aspirations. I mean, we just want to be as good as we can be, but you're right about the challenge. I mean, they're a contender. They're still a really good side, and if we want to be a good side, we've got to beat good sides. And we've played some, you regard sort of 3 of the top 4 or 5 in the comp at the moment so far, and been okay, but we haven't been consistent enough. So we're looking to bring our best every week, because that's what Geelong, Port Adelaide, Hawthorn, Fremantle, Sydney are doing right at the moment. They're bringing very close to their best each week.
But do you get a feeling that the Perth factor is an issue? You obviously, a lot of clubs have done that this year. Is that something that you've thought about?
Well, we had no excuse. I mean, we came back, and we were disappointing, no doubt. But certainly we didn't feel that was a factor. Geelong's history, I think, if you look back, they've been pretty good off short breaks, and they've had a lot of short breaks because they play in big games, the Hawthorn games on Mondays, etc. But then you might be looking at, well, their record's good at Geelong, their record's good on 6-day breaks. You realise pretty quickly their record's just pretty good everywhere, in every scenario. So we expect them to be very close to their best.
The news last night that some people on football shows and the like were saying you've seen the first sort of cracks in Geelong. Did you have a smile about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What are they? 6-2. Yeah, they're in massive trouble.
Well,
yeah.
Do you take anything from your picture of them towards the end of last season, even though it was already?
Not really. I think that, look back over probably the last 3 or 4 times we've played them, they've been pretty good encounters. They had the wood over us probably a while back, but since our team's in a lot of ways probably a little bit more settled than theirs is, which seems strange, but it's testament to what they've been able to do. They've been able to transition their list and still remain ultra competitive. So this year's a very different season to last, and both teams are a little bit different. So it'll be a new chapter in our rivalry.
Is the way you approach the weekend change, Brad, by the ease of last week's win, or is that in essence the best way you could hope to go into a big challenge?
Oh, I think you can make a case for both. That you probably have an easy win. You should be physically in better shape, but we know that. I mean, last week our focus was really on to get back into the contest. We got really badly beaten in the first quarter against the Gold Coast in the contest, and we turned that stat right around against Brisbane. And we know that against Geelong, Joel Selwood and Cam Guthrie and Hall and Smith and these blokes and that Bartel and Kelly are playing different positions. So they've got some elite ball winners, and if we're off our game in the contested part of the game, we'll get really badly exposed.
Particularly with the defenders though, because I didn't see all that much ball against Brisbane.
No, they're hoping it'll be much the same this week. I've assured them I don't think it will be.
Joel Selwood, Brad, sorry, one of the obviously elite midfielders in the comp. What do you do with him? Do you play a hard tag?
Tried different things, and he tends to, with those really good inside ball winners, they're hard to stop. So I mean, I think we've discussed it at length. We haven't come up with the solution with 100% certainty with what we'll do yet, but you need to get someone on him who can compete with him for the footy, because just trying to stop him is not good enough, because you just end up following him around all day. So, he's certainly in the top few midfielders in the comp, and some of our guys aspire to be there and they're not quite there yet, so it's a great challenge for them.
Daniel Wells, I mean, you had to deal with him the last couple of weeks, but now you know you're not going to be with him for the next month or so. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, we've got to be a better side than just relying on our very best players to win or lose. I mean, you said earlier this year that every side relies on their good players, but the best sides are able to cover the loss of one or two of their really good players, and Wellesley's certainly one of our best players, and we're going to be without him for a short to medium period of time. We're not quite sure how long, but certainly not for the next few weeks. So it's a great opportunity for others to step up, and we've been working really hard on our midfield depth, and we think we've got the numbers to cover him.
Such an important part of his setup, and I think the club was confident in March that he'd re-sign. He's still unsigned. Is that something you just let go until the end of the season, or do you be any closer to signing him?
I'm not sure. I let the baker bake the bread as far as the contracting is concerned, and Jeff Walsh and Cameron Joyce will get that sorted in due course. My job's to provide a really good playing environment for our players, and I think our recent history suggests that we've done that reasonably well, and our players want to stay. So that'll take as long as it takes.
Natural review panel. I mean, it wasn't just Stevie J, but people were a bit surprised about Dawes getting a week and Hanbury getting off. You're a bit baffled over what's worth a week, what's worth 2 weeks. No,
it's a hard job. I mean, there are always going to be differing opinions on what should and shouldn't happen around those things. But I just think that we do play a pretty aggressive contact sport. So I prefer to see the things that could go either way go the way of let's get the good players out there playing.
You mentioned before midfield depth. Nick Dalsano over the whole comp's arguably the recruit of the year. You watched him from afar for so long. Has anything surprised you watching him day in, day out?
I've been on record this year of talking. What surprised me has been his off-field actions and the way he conducts himself. And we didn't anticipate the level of leadership that he would bring to our club. The players very quickly voted him into our leadership group on the basis of one pre-season. So that gives you an idea of how impressive he is as a person, how well he prepares. So he's been huge for us, particularly in the absence of Andrew Swallow, and it was great on the weekend to see them both working in combination.
With the Wells injury, Brad, obviously been a pretty lingering one. Do you feel as though you've finally got a handle on exactly what it is?
Yeah, we do. Look, our medical staff have been fantastic with Wellsy, because you can imagine the pressure they're under from particularly me and the other coaches to get Wellsy back, particularly when we thought it was a short-term thing. But there are different scans you can do, and we CT scans, MRIs, plain X-rays, but it wasn't until we did a weight-bearing CT scan that the extent of the injury became clear. So now it's taken a lot of the stress away from Daniel, and that he knows what it is that's wrong, and he's got a better idea of the time frame to be back.
How frustrating that you haven't been able to have your best midfield together in any game this year?
Cry over spilt milk. I mean, but everyone gets injuries. We played Sydney without Tippett and Goods. We didn't hear Sydney complaining about that then, and we're certainly not going to be using that as any excuse, because what we've seen so far this year is that Dal Santo's come in and made a difference. Levi Greenwood's been terrific for us, and it gives other players opportunities. And we've got to be better than just rely on one or two players. We've got to rely on 30 to 35 to get the job done this year.
Expecting Grimer and Mullet to come up this week?
Mullet should be fine. He's out there training. Grimer won't play. Still too sore, and we certainly don't want to take any risks with him. He's a really important player to us. So until he trains absolutely 100% without any pain, he won't play. And he's not training at all today, so that rules him out this week.
It's a big showdown with his best mate Hamish.
Yeah, well, let's hope that one doesn't come back to bite us. But and we obviously invested very heavily in Todd Goldstein, and we've had some tough decisions to make because we've had David Hale and Hamish McIntosh on our list, but they were much too good to be playing in our VFL side when we chose to go with Todd Goldstein. So hopefully Hamish doesn't hurt us too much.
Geelong again there, internally, is that a more impressive scalp than Freo or Sydney away?
I think they're probably on par. I think if you look at Geelong's record in Geelong and Fremantle's recent record in Perth, they're probably pretty similar. So, yeah, they're probably pretty similar challenges.
I'll ask the token brother question. Does it get any easier coaching against him? And do you ever really know what he's thinking because you are so close?
No, I wish I knew what he was thinking. Because maybe if I knew what he was thinking, I could do it myself, and we would have had a premiership in the last 4 years. But yeah, I think we obviously know each other very well, but he would say, I think, that it's up to the players. I mean, we put the plan in place, and can the players execute it? And we try to provide the framework for them to work within, and then it's up to the players on game day. So I don't see it as, I've never seen it as being, I'm coaching against Chris or any other coach for that matter. I'm coaching against the opposition team.
Thanks, Brad.